Oilers Nation After Dark begins now.
I hurt myself today to see if I still feel the pain.
Was that the worst watching experience you've ever had with the Edmonton Oilers before? Not only did we go down 3-0, what felt like almost instantaneously, you know what happened? Pretty much instantaneously, our savior, our king, our prophet, Connor McDavid left the game with an immediate ankle injury to start that one, and it got worse from there. It was a nightmare scenario for the Edmonton Oilers. McDavid done for the night. Stuart Skinner can't stop a beach ball coming at him and getting absolutely shit on, excuse my language, by the Columbus Blue Jackets. Dude, I don't even know if I care right now that they lost that bad. I mean, I do, but I am legitimately sick to my stomach thinking about Connor McDavid and his left ankle. Hello and welcome to Oilers Nation After Dark. I am your host, Aaron Bordato, joined by Oilers Nation legend Matthew Wozniak. Join us tonight as we look up how to perform a left ankle transplant. Pat, we actually just looked up the best ankle surgeon in Canada. What was his name?
It is Dr. Tim Daniels out in Toronto, recognized as Canada's top orthopedic foot and ankle surgeon. Get him on the phone.
You can have this thing. I'm not using it. You can take it. You can take Waz's. You can take Pat's. I'll go footless for the rest of my life if it means Connor McDavid gets to play again on Thursday because, boys, 500 hockey was nice for, it wasn't even 24 hours that we pointed out, and it's gone. This start to the season kind of went from bad to terrible. Not only did we lose the best player in the world, but tonight it felt like the entire team quit around him. Sure, Stuart Skinner, and we will touch on Stuart Skinner, one of the worst performances I've seen in a long time, but it's bad, dude. It's real bad. That was, as I said, this is what we live for, right? Hosting a show after a game like that. Greatest job in the world. Here we go, it's bad.
Yeah, man, I was trying to question if going 2-9-1 is better than this. I'll be honest, there's nothing worse than getting blown out and having your star player, the best player in the NHL, leave with that injury. And then, I mean, at least we heard some positive news from Ryan Shaw. We'll touch on that later, but it's just like, I think the worst part is not only did Connor McDavid leave the game hurt, it's just the way they responded afterwards as well. It wasn't just Stuart Skinner. It was the entire team. It felt like they just quit on themselves. You know, you'd think going to maybe the second period, they'd kind of galvanize themselves. Hey, let's do this for Connor. Connor would want us to go out there and put damn sword to the Columbus Blue Jackets. That was not the case. Instead, they just folded.
Yep, they sure did. Let's check in with the YouTube chat because I'm sure we'll all be nice and calm, keeled. Not even me. I'm not going to be calm or keeled tonight. Amanda's in. Honestly, I'm not putting much on this game. The boys are definitely off tonight, and I guarantee it's partly because of the Connor injury. Flush it, Ryan S. said just end the game already. We were considering starting this with 10 minutes left in the third period, but the Edmonton Oilers did not get shut out this evening. They took it all the way to the wire. Broly's in, talking about first overall picks in Edmonton. We're so back. K. Waddy, it is becoming pretty obvious management has ruined this team. Southpaw, great point. My God, I didn't get enough to drink for this game. Amanda, again, look at the demeanor on that bench. Final buzzer. Is Bordsy digging out the clown nose? Dude, I'm too sad to even do anything like that. I'm just getting sad. And then Mr. Cates, hopefully not Daryl Cates, is in and says, who's getting fired first? So let's all go around the room and say what we're thankful for right now before all of this. I'm thankful for you, Oz. Thanks for being here. What are you thankful for?
Genuinely, this post-game show, because it allows us to all vent our feelings. And yes, that's it.
That's the answer. That's the perfect answer, Wazinho. So let's start it off talking about it, Pat. Let's just pull it up and take a look at it. I could not think about anything besides the
McDavid played 37 seconds start
entire game. As you'll see it here, 30 seconds into this bad boy, Connor McDavid gets tripped. He was tripped. I don't care what Louis says. I don't care what anyone says. That's a trip. Zach Werenski's stick is in there. And you'll see Connor's left ankle go directly into the boards. jam right into that thing, nice and slow. Pat, great producing work. He continues to slide down the ice for quite some time. How was there no call? You saw he was frustrated with the referee, and you saw him able to take a couple strides initially, right? He tries to come back up the ice, puts that left ankle onto the ground and goes, no, that doesn't feel right. Immediately skates straight to the bench. He did stay on the bench for a couple seconds is what it felt like there. He was standing on it, and there was, I mean, take it for what you want. There's some Twitter doctors out there.
Yeah.
They are just that, Twitter doctors. But there's a couple saying, okay, it's probably not broken. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to put that much weight on it right there. I am not going to speculate, but I'm afraid, I am worried. There's really no way to sugarcoat this one. His left ankle went straight into the boards. You saw it on Connor's face. I don't know, man. You can talk about it, whether it's broken, whether it's a high ankle sprain, which seems to be the consensus going on so far. All I know is I am willing to cut my left foot off and mail it to Columbus. That's what we need to do. I'll give all the ligaments. I'll give all the bones. Waz, what'd you think about that play? And really, there's not a worse way to start that hockey game.
Yeah, as we were watching it here in the office, kind of had a glimpse on the TV. I'm like, oh, McDavid's on his ass. That happens, And the next thing you know, you hear is, oh, McDavid's going to the tunnel. I'm like, all right, that happens from time to time. Hey, his skate's a little loose. And then you hear the news, McDavid will not return tonight. And then it's like, great. And then the part of me is like, can I just simulate the pain to see what Connor McDavid went through? Because I'm not as risky as you. I'm not going to give up my left ankle.
Oh,
if I can just simulate the pain and kind of relate to Connor McDavid to an extent, I would like to do that.
How bad do you want it? You got to give out your ankle, brother. Let me know in the chat if you would be willing to donate your ankle.
Brother, I have 9 toes. Okay?
Oh, that's right.
What do you say?
You're right. Waz already has a very, very big foot injury that he's dealt with before. You gotta let that one out of the bag.
It was perfect time, man.
Oh my! As I see crippled zombies in, says sprains can be worse than breaks. Fighting Amish should actually, Bordsy, we are YouTube doctors. But crippled zombie, I made this point to Pat, is that I hate how much I bring him up because I despise the man. But LeBron James has said before, a high ankle sprain is worse than a broken bone. I think that's just LeBron saying that because he's never broken the bone. But high ankle sprains, right? There's such difference in severities of what it could be. It could be ligament damage, could be bruising to the bone. It could be, I'm not a doctor. I don't know. All I know is I have deep, deep concerns about this team without Connor McDavid because, let's talk about it. After that happened, sure, you're down a man. You've only got 11 forwards. This team has been able to play with 11 forwards, let alone 11 forwards willingly, and multiple points in their McDavid days, of course. But there's no bigger loss than 97. But let's talk about the shockwave effect through the lineup, because tonight we legitimately could have started this show after the first period when it was 3-0, I believe. I don't think any of the storylines would have been different. Your number one story, McDavid. Number 2, Stu was terrible. And number 3, nobody really stepped up. I know Matthias Ekholm did score there at the end of the game, but that was a brutal sign to see from the rest of your team throughout the lineup, even without 97.
Yeah, they just seemed so deflated. It's sad to see. It was like watching paint dry, and I don't understand why. I'm looking at the time on ice here, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins led the team with 20 minutes. Draisaitl in second with 19 minutes. Third most time on ice for the Oilers forwards, 18 minutes by Matthias Janmark. And it's just like you weren't seeing any. I mean, Zach Hyman had some chances. I think he hit the post, and it would have been nice to see him get a goal. And I think that could have inspired and lifted the entire group. But just, even like you're down 3-0, you could at least got one in the second to kind of give yourself a bit of a spark. And, Corey Perry, no, he can't be the only one dropping the minutes.
We talked about it. We were like, okay, there's a time to fight. This is it.
I know it's a regular season. I know McDavid's out of this game, but we have talented hockey players. We have Leon Draisaitl. We're paying him $14 million. I understand this is the second half of a back-to-back. It's just nobody showed any signs of inspiration, and it sucks to see. And I hate to talk about that because when you're a cup contending team, and I feel like I'm overreacting here, you want to see you're
not overreacting at all.
No, we can be able to find a way to fight back in this game. We can claw ourselves back, and it wasn't there.
You need to see more. Quote here from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Yeah, I mean, of course, on missing Connor McDavid. Yeah, I mean, of course, he's our leader and also the best player in the game. Of course, you're going to feel it, but we've got to do a better job of stepping up when a guy like that goes down. Bag Milk, good tweet here. I believe things will turn around. But that game was about as bad as it gets. Dallas Aiken's level of sucked. We do have some news here from the Edmonton Oilers as head coach Chris Knobloch has confirmed Oilers captain Connor McDavid will be traveling back to Edmonton to get reevaluated after leaving tonight's game with, I love how in the NHL they say lower body injury. I think I got an idea of what it was, but that means he's not going to be in Nashville for Thursday's game on Halloween. And then the next one is Sunday against the Calgary Flames.
Yeah, Sunday in Calgary.
Which is also on the road. I mean, fingers crossed, prayers up, everybody. Even if you are not religious, you find a way to pray
oh, man,
for this. He slid for so long because he was coming in with so much speed. But let's talk about it because you have a man go down. Normally, okay, nice. There it is. As you see him going up, but look at his left foot. He didn't want to put it on the ice. Not putting much there. He's able to stop. He did stand here on the bench for what felt like an extended period of time. And well, as you mentioned it, no one really even noticed. It was just the first shift, and then he was gone. They were mentioning that he was in the locker room. We all said, oh, it's probably his skate. He's got those weird skate blades that you can't just pop them on and pop them back off. Wasn't expecting this. And then when the news came we were dead silent in here. I said that would have been probably the worst possible game to do one of those watch-alongs for because I was speechless. You posted a video sticking a camera in my face minutes after this happened. Nope, just doing your job. But I said I watched it back. I'm just frozen. Like I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to make this feel any better. Hopefully we'll get some positive news. But I want to ask you and everybody in the chat, what do we do if Connor McDavid is out for an extended period of time? I understand the old saying of next man up. That simply does not work with the best player in the entire world. But you think everybody in the lineup needs to step their game up. Nuge had just mentioned that post-game. But you lose your best player, you lose your leader, you lose your captain. It is going to hurt. It's going to be dark times. Let's talk about it. Ryan Rishaug, he did say, do we have the tweet here as well, Pat? He had some news for us. Early word out of Columbus is that it's nothing too serious with McDavid at this point. So that is vaguely positive. I would remind you, Ryan Rishaug does not have a medical degree, and none of us do. But you got to think he's connected to the training staff, TD4, somewhere back there. But my question to you, what do you do here if you're the Edmonton Oilers? You're going to have to make a call up. I think the obvious choice would be one, Noah Philp. He had an awesome preseason, right? He was discussed. We'll talk about Derek Ryan because he had a brutal game tonight. But do you think it's as simple as Noah Philp time right now and he's going to be the logical call-up to replace 97? Those aren't big shoes to fill at all.
There's no doubt that Noah Philp is the next man up. Obviously, you can't replace 97. There's only one man who can replace 97. That's number 29, and he's gonna have to step up. And I'm pretty sure he did it once before, back in 2020, just before the world shut down for a bit. McDavid was injured for a couple games in February of 2020, January 2020, and Leon Draisaitl did step up while he was out of the lineup. And I'm gonna try. Let me see here. In the 6 games that McDavid missed, Draisaitl put up 12 points, facing top competition. One fewer than Mika Zibanejad at the time. Draisaitl, I think, was playing over 25 minutes per night. So
Leon's got a shoulder to load.
That comes from Andrew Berkshire from Sportsnet back in 2020. So, Leon has stepped up without McDavid in the lineup. But we'll see what happens this time.
Hey, it's a good blessing to have, right? You have a Leon Draisaitl who can easily move up to the 1C. You have a first-line left wing and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins who can play the 2C. You got Rico. He can play down the middle. Like, this team is more built for this in the past, you could say, but don't really know if I can sugarcoat this one. I got a question, Pat, and we got to make a poll because Crippled Zombie asks it, or says it, it's time to panic. So I want you to make a poll. Is it time to panic? Yeah. Yes or no? Straight up. Let's go. Am I hitting the button? I'm not there, but I think I've officially pulled the panic button out of its drawer. Was are you panicked?
I like what Liam said last week. I'm not panicking until it's December. It's still October. Unfortunately, it feels like it's been the longest.
Look who's in the chat immediately.
Yep, exactly. So Liam
Orban with capital no.
I will not be moving the mic for you, by the way. But it's just, what can I say, man? This is tough. I'm not panicking just because got to live in the moment, right? We still have lots of hockey out of us. Let's see how we respond against Nashville and against Calgary, because this was the second half of the back-to-back. I know that shouldn't be an excuse, but it'll be interesting to see how the line combos look on Thursday night.
Yeah, it's going to be a little different bit of a story. We saw as the game went along, right? You're going to try and experiment with a couple things. I believe we saw Draisaitl, Arvidsson, Hyman, Skinner, Nuge, Connor Brown at points. But once again, this is just straight speculation. A lot of people in here. McD hurt. I'm panicking, but we got some no panics as well. Ryan S. seeing how McDavid still skated around for a bit. I don't think it's serious. Exactly. Could be worse. Once again, knock on wood. Everybody, I'm curious to let this poll cook for a little bit and see where this goes. Liam says, I am very frustrated for the record. This is what championship DNA is about, right? What are you going to do when your back's against the wall? And you just mentioned the Oilers have tread water before while missing one Connor McDavid. So, as much as that sucked and how bad the Edmonton Oilers played, I don't know who was worse, him, the team, or the goaltender in the blue paint this evening, because Stuart Skinner, he had 19 saves on 25 shots. He has a save percentage of .760. I believe he had allowed 3 goals on 6 shots to start the game. And man, I'll be real here. I am a Stuart Skinner defender through and through. I support the guy. We talked about his last 5 games. He had a .915 save percentage. Can you continue to let it roll? Continue to keep building? Because the one problem with Stuart Skinner is he's way too inconsistent. One game, absolute dog shit. The next game, 27 save shutout against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And tonight, you need to have a big save at points. He didn't provide any of that. He looked like a broken shell of a man. I was shocked he was still in the game after allowing the 3rd goal against, especially the 4th goal against. We talked about you got to change something, give a spark to your team in some way. Thought that would have been a way to do that. I don't know, man. There's not much to say after this one. We'll talk about the other guy that could be in net in the next game. But initially, thoughts on Stuart Skinner's .760 save percentage performance this evening?
Yeah, it's kind of like the narrative we've been saying is that whenever the Oilers play good, Stuart Skinner tends to play good. When the Oilers play bad, Stuart Skinner also tends to play bad. And there's no consistency, and it sucks because we love Stuart Skinner. We support him. We believe that he's, better than what the haters tend to claim, because as soon as these goals were going in, people were like, no, we need a goalie. You got to trade him. We got to do something. We should have invested in a goalie, da-da-da-da. And it's like, I understand that. It's easy to start panicking and overreacting when this starts to happen. But yeah, he was not good. I'll simply say that. He was not good tonight. He should have been better. There were goals. I'm like, how are you not saving that? The team in front of him also was not fantastic. Some of the defensemen had to take a look at themselves in the mirror and say, what am I doing? How can I support my goalie a little bit better? But it's just a consistency factor with Stuart Skinner right now.
Some of those goals, like the game was already over. I believe it was the 5th goal against for the Edmonton Oilers. Puck just went right through Matthias Ekholm. There's 4 Oilers just standing around, and Stu wasn't good. I cannot sugarcoat that one as well. Yes, was.
No, I just want to say it is like, okay, so let's say we give Stuart Skinner a run of 5 games in a row. Will he kind of run with those games and start to build off of them? Because like I think we mentioned, he came off a game and then next thing it just evaporates. Like, let's say if we started him against Detroit, it would be a different story. I don't know. It seems like he does play better when he's had like a couple games under his belt in a row. But hey, that's why that's
why we're in this position. Lawless is in and said, as I said, Vezina candidate 1 game, ECH bound the next. I mean, it's a little bit of hyperbole, but I'm picking up what you're laying down. Sasky Oil fan says, let's talk about that. Why keep him in? So want to discuss, we talked about how Stu had a great performance against Pittsburgh. He had a day of rest on Saturday, could have went in on Sunday. You were going to play Picks and Stu on either one of these games. Pickard had a great performance yesterday, totally solid. And that, dude, you can't be like, well, he had too much rest. That's not a real argument you can make here. He had an extra day, and there are some people in here, Sadistic Angel. I'm not panicking. I'm just effing frustrated because in the grand scheme, it is an inconsistent effort from Stu. It is also just one game. And we did see him the game before be very good. I'm not going to say great, but it was 27 save shutouts. My question to you was, Calvin Pickard, but it's also been an incredibly small sample size. But Picks, he's looked good. He has had to spell Stuart Skinner in moments last season, in the playoffs, regular season, doesn't matter. He's been there. He is a very consistent backup goaltender. Should the Edmonton Oilers be considering starting Calvin Pickard way more consistently?
Maybe it's tough to say because when Pickard has played, he's shown he's been better.
He's good.
I don't know. Other than the Chicago game, I think that's the other one I can think of. That was the one where it was a little rough on Pickard, but other than that, he's really shown up in the games he's been called up for. And some of these opponents aren't, the greatest. I don't want to underestimate them. And Nashville is a team that's beatable. They haven't had a great start of the year. Calgary, they've had a good start of the year, but they've also been starting to slow down a bit. They've been taking some L's. So it's, I don't know, man, because do we want to give Skinner more workload to see if he can kind of pull something together, pull himself out of this? I don't know. It's a tough situation. It sucks to be in this situation again with the Oilers goaltending.
Yeah, it really does. I see people are sadistic. Yes. Loyal to the Oil. Yes. My man picks. Final buzzer. Did you see the 5-hole goal on Pickard last night? Hey, we can pick and choose a lot, but I don't know, Pat. I saw you made a poll as well. So the answer to panic was 53% said yes. They are panicking, and it is time to panic. Current poll for who would you start versus Nashville? Calvin Pickard was 67% of the vote, and I think I tend to agree with that one as well. Stuart Skinner, you need to go back to the drawing board after a game like that and regroup, find a way. And can we just talk about it? The Edmonton Oilers. What goes on in Columbus, Ohio? Because I don't like that city very much. We talked about it a lot on pre-gaming. The Edmonton Oilers haven't won a hockey game in Columbus since pre-COVID, since October 2019. It was 3 straight losses heading into tonight. And after the McDavid injury, I straight up vote we boycott the city of Columbus, maybe even the state of Ohio in general. And while we're at it, let's ban everything that originated from Columbus. Pat, we went through a list of things that were originated in Ohio, Columbus. What are we banning?
Rascal Flats.
Okay, done. They're gone.
21 Pilots.
That's painful, but they're gone.
I don't like them.
I'm trying to remember what else there was, but those were the 2 big ones.
There was one that we're not going to mention because I'm not going to boycott it because they're a sponsor.
We can't do it.
But Columbus, there's no explanation for it. I don't get it. Maybe it's the early start. We were jacked up that this game was starting at 5 p.m. today. It's a very weird stat line because sure, the Columbus Blue Jackets this season, they're not your father's Columbus Blue Jackets. It looks like they have the ability to score goals. They came into tonight 5th in the NHL in goals for per game. They play a track meet style of game, up and down the ice, defense, maybe not the greatest, but they're trying to outscore their problems. Very old a la Edmonton Oilers, but what is up with Columbus and why does the city hate us?
I don't know. It is maybe that McDavid and Draisaitl factor. You bring in the 2 stars in the city and you kind of want to stick it to them and be the better team and say, hey, we're not afraid of these guys. I don't care how good they are. We're going to outwork them. That's simply what happened. And they're finding ways to score. It doesn't matter. They don't have the flashy forwards like the Oilers do. And I know they were down 1 tonight, but still, the Oilers have so many, so much firepower, especially last year. Zach Hyman scored 50 goals. Now 10 games without a goal. That's Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. He's been a little quiet this year. I know he's got a few points and goals, and Jeff Skinner, he's had some good history. He's been doing well, but when you think of Columbus, do you think of high productive forward? No, and that did not matter tonight. They still put 6 past us. So
yeah, it's been a rough go here. I like this from K. Waddy, some positivity. Mayor of Smashville must show up. Yep. Gonna need a get-right game from one Leon Draisaitl. Also, Pat, I don't know if I can ban Victoria's Secret, brother. I'm going to say crazy things. I can't say that crazy things, but John Legend, you're banned. You're gone, buddy. Liam's in here. Worst game maybe ever from Stu. Yeah, I think that is fair to say at this point. Let me know if you can think of a worst game, but just a worst game in general for the Edmonton Oilers. And let's rip the Band-Aid off here. Let's get into it. Let's get into our Greta scoring summary brought to you by Greta Bar Yeg. After a night like this, if you're downtown or I don't even care where you are, you need a cold one to feel a little bit better. Well, Greta Bar is where Oilers Nation loves to watch the game home and away. It's great for pregame. It's great for postgame. Even after the result, We're going to be there all season long for our watch parties throughout the year. Check out their great street food menu, games in the arcade. They got weekly drink specials. They got it all. It is a great way to drown your sorrows. I would eat 100 pizza taquitos right now. I want to eat my feelings away right now, Waz. This is bad, but let's get into it. Let's rip this Band-Aid off because the first goal of the game, stop me if you've heard this one before, it came on the first shot of the game. My God, that sucks. First shot, first goal, Jackets on the power play. Kirill Marchenko, he delivers. I mean, it's a beautiful, perfectly placed shot pass, whatever the hell you want to call it, for Sean Monahan, who gets in there, redirects it home. Sean Monahan, he's no stranger to scoring goals against the Edmonton Oilers, former Calgary Flame, and this took just over 2 minutes to start. 40 seconds into the power play, but as I said, first shot, first goal, yet again, my lord.
Yeah, so there's a couple issues here. First of all, he had so much space and time to shoot. I understand this was in the PK, but the fact that no one was pressuring was kind of concerning. I think that should have been Derek Ryan.
I think it was Derek Ryan.
I know a lot of people are kind of sticking it to Nurse here, and for maybe a little understandable because he's screening Skinner. But in the same breath, this is just zone defense and trying to stay the shape in the PK, and I think that's what's happening here, right? They want to break the shape too much here. That's just at least from my piss poor analysis, I would say. But Skinner gets screened and he couldn't see it, and boom, goal.
Yep, Ryan asked, so like last game, first shot, first goal. Yep, so it's happening to both goalies as well. Saskatchewan Oil fan made me laugh. Make it quick, Bordsy. Will do. Second goal of the game. Jackets, Blue Jackets, that his enter the zone. They missed a shot to the side of the net. Here you'll see it as it comes down. Misses. Cole Sillinger. He's quick on the puck, right behind the net. And boy, he zips that out pretty fast out to Adam Fantilli right in front of the net. He buried this one so fast, short side on Stuart Skinner. It even got stuck behind the camera back there. But you see, left alone directly in front of the blue paint. Stuart Skinner didn't even know this one went past him as he was still looking to find the puck after this one. Adam Fantilli, high draft pick last season for the Blue Jackets. He's going to score goals like that if you leave him unattended in front of the net, Wazina.
Yeah, so that it just happens so quick.
It happens so fast.
Stuart Skinner, that's the problem with him, I think, at times, is that he's a little slow to react to what's happening around him, and he's trying to be a little more aware. But, man, like, even for me, I'm like, how this is going? It goes so quick, he has no idea where the puck is almost.
Yeah, he really doesn't. It was a brutal one, and you're ready for, I think, the most brutal of them all. It's the third goal of the game, and it's Cole Sillinger. I was chirping the guy before the game saying I know more about his relationship history than I do his on-ice play. And, man, what is that? How does that get past you?
Yeah.
The Oilers not able to get the puck out of their own zone here. I can't see who that is. I'm too far away. Somebody in the chat, let me know. Goes back to Cole Sillinger, and, hey, puck's on net. Great strategy. Can't score if you don't shoot. The smile on them celebrating was like even they were shocked that this one went in. I thought it was redirected. No. Just took a bounce. Beats Stu. Look at that reaction from him. Look at that smile on Sillinger. Very punchable face, if you ask me, as well. Was this right here. The fact that Stu was not yanked at this point in the game, you allowed 3 goals on 6 shots, but it went that way. It clearly was not Stuart Skinner's night. Even the Sportsnet crew knew that he should get pulled because they cut to Chris Knobloch immediately. They cut to Calvin Pickard after this as well. This is the stuff that simply cannot happen. I will sit here and defend my guy. That is brutal. That is unheard of. You deserve to get yanked and out of the net for allowing something like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation because I think there were times last year, I think, either with Campbell or Skinner, where, Stu would get lit up, but they wouldn't pull him. And I think we also saw that in the.
It was also a back-to-back,
yeah,
right? So I do get that, but it was so bad.
Like, even in, like, the 22-23 playoffs, Stu was having some rough nights, and they would rarely even yank him, right? So I don't know what they were thinking there. That was a rough goal to let in. Maybe it is because it was, the second half to a back-to-back, and they just said, let's just play through this.
Pat, you mentioned it to me. We talked about it, trying to find a spark for your team. Really thought that would be it. I do get the Pickard part, the back-to-back, but you have Tuesday off, you have Wednesday off, and you're in Nashville on Thursday. What did you think? Should Stu have been yanked in this one?
I can't believe he wasn't, honestly. Like, and you mentioned it there, like, it's one thing if it's, a a goal that's not his fault, but that one was just unexcusable. And at a moment of the game where you just lost your captain, you're down 3-0, you just got to settle the team down. If anything, it's kind of just like an unofficial timeout.
Yep.
And it's not always Skinner's fault. It's not always supposed to make him feel bad. It's supposed to just calm the team down, get Pickard in. The only weird part is it's been happening too often, and you want to keep the confidence in your starting goalies. So I kind of see why they didn't, but I definitely think he should have in that case.
I definitely would have. Calvin Pickard. He's in the chat. He says, I was ready, coach. Or I was ready. Coach wouldn't put me in. A lot of people in here. I saw Nathan as well. Goalie coach for the win. Gotta use his name here because I don't think I've seen enough Dustin Schwartz here. But like, dude, that third goal on Stuart Skinner, I don't know how you blame Dustin Schwartz for that one because that's what a AAA goalie in midget should probably be able to stop that one. But hey, he doesn't get yanked. It's in Nobby we trust. It will always be in Nobby we trust, and maybe we can turn it around. Gets worse though, 4-0 for these Columbus Blue Jackets. I believe it was Derek Ryan on this one who could not get the puck out. Yep, there he is, getting manhandled there in the end boards. Jackets fighting for the puck, battling down low, and it was JVR, right? Yeah, it was JVR. That's what I was looking for. He was banging away. Somehow the puck just gets over to Mathieu Olivier. He's able to just push it past Stuart Skinner. This one's rough, and like once again, there are 4 white jerseys over there, all hunched over. There was no fight. There was no anger in there. Somebody go in there and get that puck. This was the same old story all night long as unattended in front of the net there. JVR is to start. Stu does make the first couple saves. He's sliding across his crease out of position, but was your boy DR10. We'll talk about it in a bit, but that was brutal on him there, but just brutal brutal is the word of the day for this game tonight.
Yeah, 100%. That was kind of DR's game tonight. They kept playing him. He played, I think, around 12 minutes, and I think he was making mistakes after mistakes, and they continued to snowball and pile up. Unfortunately, that happens with some players where you keep giving them some opportunities, and things just keep getting worse for them. They're kind of stuck in their own head. And I think he was thinking, okay, I can't make another mistake. I can't make another mistake, and it just keeps happening. I think he was just ultimately so focused on his game a little bit too much that he just continued to get taken advantage of in that game.
Pat, do we even have the other goals?
Yeah, we do. If you want, we don't have to.
We'll go through them fast here. The guy who I still can't say his name, MP is what I'm going to call him, got his first of the season, assisted by Cole Sillinger and Adam Fantilli. I mean, this was the one, right, that I mentioned. Like, when you'll see this get kind of played back here, I don't want to shit on Matthias Ekholm because he's been one of the best players, but he's just goes. Great pause, Pat. That is a great pause because stick is not on the ice right in front of the blue paint. Now hit play. And that one goes directly between the wickets, between his legs, right out to MP. As I mentioned, he scores the first of the season. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off and keep it going because Sean Monahan scores his second goal of the game, assisted by Kirill Marchenko and Yegor Shinnikov. As you see, just a little rebound coming out right to him. Nobody takes the man in front. I think that was Ty Emerson. At this point, I was in the bathroom for this, getting ready to start the show. Right after the 5th goal, I come up, Waz looks me dead in the face, and he goes, they scored again. But you had this shit-eating grin on your face, and I was like, no, he's just messing with me. Like, no, he's messing with me. But I trust Pat. Pat just looked at me with like no, man. Like, no, it legitimately happened again. Shout out Matthias Ekholm, though, with 27 seconds left in the hockey game. And on the power play, it's PP2 again, baby. They score a power play goal. Matthias Ekholm assisted by Corey Perry and one Darnell Nurse. Not even gonna lie to you, Pat, we were sitting in these very seats, and then we just looked over and like, oh, well, they scored. So that's cool. That's awesome. Elvis Merzlikins does not get the shutout as the Edmonton Oilers lose by a score of 6-1 to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Stuart Skinner, 19 saves on 25 shots for a .760 save percentage. On the other side, it was Elvis Merzlikins, 31 saves on 32 shots for a .969. Nice. There we go. We at least have that. Let's move now to the good, bad, the oily, brought to you by Square, because if you run a restaurant, you're too busy for this ad. You're thinking about how to get more orders flowing and new locations opening. You need to get more customers and keep them coming back. So really, you're already thinking about Square, because Square Restaurant Tech helps more than 400,000 restaurants do all those things and more. So when you're thinking about your restaurant, think bigger and think Square. You can go to their link in the description of our YouTube video and find out why you need Square in your restaurant or wherever you're selling things. As we mentioned, Oodle Noodle uses it. We use it at Nation events. Come on, get going with Square. Like 400,000 other restaurants are doing tonight. Pat, what do we say we were going to call this instead of good, bad, and oily?
The bad, worse, and oily.
And even
ugly.
worse. Like you could have, I was hard trying to find any positive in this one. So hit it for me. Literally nothing. I am sitting here. I've gotten very good at this, right? We did 2-9-1 last year. They found a way to be positive. I guess you could say power play 2 would be my real answer of the good, but straight up that game went from bad to worse. You lose McDavid instantaneously. You're down 3-0. Snap of the fingers on 3 shots. Stu was terrible. Derek Ryan was terrible. Feels like everybody out there on the ice they were lost. They're like a bunch of puppies out there without their leader, without their mama puppy. Who knows? I legitimately can't think of one real positive. Do you have one, or do you agree with? Nice. The good, it's over. Boom. There we go. We were going to start this show in the third period. So the good was it's done.
Yeah, I found one positive.
Boom.
That after 10 games this year, we have finished with a better record compared to the first 10 games last year. So I brought up some numbers. Last year, after the first 10 games of the season, the Oilers had a 2-7-1 record. They scored 27 goals and allowed 41 in the first 10 games of the season in 2023. This year, we finished with a record of 4-5-1 after the first 10. However, we have only scored 22 goals and allowed 35. So lack of offense is a little bit more of an issue compared to last year, but goaltending also and defense.
So you're telling me we're just a 16-game heater away from solving all our problems.
Yeah.
Get the shirts up. Also, today on Pre-Gaming, our good friend Darian, who's been an OG of the chat, came in and said, hey, I guess I'm going to watch tonight's game because I haven't watched since I hit the panic button after the first 2 games. Darian is back in the chat to say, so I still shouldn't watch these games then. I'll try again in a few weeks. We all got to make sacrifices. I think that's the one we're going to go with. Eric said Darian. Yep, we all got to make sacrifices. With the good comes the bad tonight. It is obviously the Connor McDavid injury. This feels like the only thing that matters tonight. Mm-hmm. Screw the game. Screw Stu's stats. All I can think about is McDavid's left ankle because, right, as bad as that game was, it is just one game out of 82. You can find the way to flush it. We saw this last season with the Edmonton Oilers where they looked lifeless. We were talking first overall picks. We were talking about Leon and Connor having the worst offseason in Oilers history as they would say goodbye. I'm not there yet. There are some positives to this bad. Ryan Rishaug pointed out he thinks he will be okay, but it's bad, man. Connor McDavid is not going to be here for the road trip a second season in a row. He will not play a full 82-game schedule. We'll continue to keep it monitored of what we can find out. We're going to contact Dr. Daniels if he wants to cut off my ankle and send it over to Connor McDavid. But was the bad, the terrible, the horrible, the terrifying, it's Connor McDavid being injured.
Yeah, it's a little reminiscent to when McDavid got hurt in his rookie year, the collarbone. We all remember that. We don't want to remember it, but he was out for a few months there, and unfortunately, the Oilers did miss the playoffs that year. But it's not going to happen this time. It's not going to happen. Knock on wood. We're not missing the playoffs.
It's just wood in front of you. Knock on.
There you go. Thank you. There you go. Whatever. Look, we got to stay a little optimistic, all right, because we did see what this team did last year. However, the only downside of that is that there has been a little bit more roster turnover, and I think it was Fighting Amish who said in the chat how this, the team last year felt more of like a family, and this time around it feels like a bunch of dudes just playing hockey together. Well, we do have a lot of new faces, and including Adam Henrique, Ty Emberson. The decor has like 3 new guys. I mean, Troy Stetcher played like 3 games with us last year until he had an ankle cyst or whatever needed to be removed. So.
And you mentioned we were 2-7-1 at this point last season.
Yes.
I don't think anybody out there was saying at 2-7-1 this team is like a family. It took all 82 games. It took trials and tribulations for them to pull themselves out of it. And this one, This is there's a big roadblock in the way.
Still-
We'll see what happens, but
Still, the main concern for me is the offense because, like I said, after 10 games last year, we scored 27 goals. This time around, it's 22. The offense has dipped. Like Zach Hyman, this guy can't buy a goal to save his life right now.
he really can't. He really cannot. With the Oily, we tonight went with Noah Philp, question mark. Maybe that can be a positive in this as well. The young centerman, he had a great preseason, right? It was him and DR10, Derek Ryan, who was going to get that final 4C spot. I think it is not egregious to say that Noah Philp greatly outplayed Derek Ryan in the preseason, but you go with what got you there. And Derek Ryan helped you get to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals last season. But Noah Philp, we all wanted him to be the next call-up. We all liked what we saw in preseason. We knew he would probably be the first call-up that would come up. Now, it's not ideal that it's 10 games into the season, and it's not ideal that it might be to replace Connor McDavid, as I said. You think those are big shoes to fill, but he's not going to be asked to do those things. He will play in a bottom six role. I imagine Dry moves up, maybe Nuge plays second-line center, but the possible Noah Philp, it is a great story, right? Local boy, Golden Bear, quit hockey for a bit there due to some mental health problems or whatever, then came back. He's played great in preseason. Not sure of his numbers right now in AHL. Send me in the chat. Let me know. I know somebody also mentioned Drake Kajula is a point per game player as well. So maybe that could be an option. The Oily tonight, like Kajula doesn't get me fired up as an Oily. Noah Philp gives me a little bit of a bright spot, and there was. Do you think Philp will be the call-up?
Oh, most likely. I don't know if Derek Ryan's going to get sent down. He probably will be.
No, he can't. He can't.
Exactly. You're right. So it's.
Now,
but
should he? That's a whole different question.
I won't lie. I'm very excited to see what Noah Philp can bring to this lineup. We, like many have mentioned, we're missing some young boots, some of that young spirit. Like we're basically a retirement home at some point, basically. So Noah Philp, yeah, welcome to the club.
Mr. Cates, instead of the Oily, said optimistic. McDavid didn't get injured in April.
Yeah, 100%.
Hey,
good point.
That helps. That helps. Also, Pat,
Think
the
about
Oily, we went on just McDavid on Twitter, and the memes, my God, the memes they're so funny. Like it made me smile a little bit. Still hurts, but we're going to keep going. Ryan S. Sam Gagne, LOL.
Oh, Lord.
No. We're not going to do that. But that'll do it for the Good, Bad, and Oily, brought to you by Square Restaurant Tech. Now move to our Odd Company Hot and Cold Performers, brought to you by Odd Company Nation Beer. That's where you grab the can behind you, or if there's one on the couch. We at Oilers Nation, we're pumped to be partnering with Odd Company for our Nation Beer Everyday Lager for game day and every day. You can pick these bad boys up. They're Odd Company locations. Go check Liquor Connect as well. They go down smooth. I just saw on Twitter, Zach Lang does a great job. Dude, also shout out Zach Lang. He wrote an article about McDavid's injury and posted it to the site. I felt like 8 minutes after the injury had happened, or at least become public. So shout out to our team. Go check out all that info on the website, and go check out Nation Beer Everyday Lager. As I mentioned, for game day, every day, or after whatever that was tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. So let's throw them in here in the chat, your hot or your cold performers, because for me this is where we're going to talk about it. I'm going to start cold because I don't really have many hot performers. I was going to say Elvis Merzlikins. I think that's fair to say. He had a pretty damn good hockey game tonight for a hot performer.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
For the Oilers, Troy Stetcher, because he was even on the plus minus after 13 minutes of ice time. So I'll
take that.
I don't know.
Bar's pretty low, but we'll take it.
The bar is very low, but the team allowed 6 goals and you managed to be 0 on the plus minus. It's not bad. Good job, Troy.
So my cold performer tonight, hot performer, Merzlikins. My cold performer, I have 2 things. I'm curious if you're gonna pick one of them. So I'm gonna let's open up my cold performer, Derek Ryan. Was that one of the worst games of DR10's career in an Edmonton Oilers jersey? I think so. I think it was a number of players, maybe worst games, Stu specifically as well. He could be the cold performer, but he was I guess he wasn't the bad, so Stu can also be the cold performer as well. It was bad all over, but Derek Ryan was on the ice for a number of goals against. Just looked lost out there, was getting bodied. You could see the frustration on his face when goals were scored against. There he is in the dead slot, not covering a man. Derek Ryan, he is my cold performer tonight. You could probably go with the guy in the pads as well. Waz, who's your cold performer?
Unfortunately, I have to say Derek Ryan. Like, I gotta be honest here, right? Like, I was getting even people tweeting at me. It's like, hey, I hate to say it, but this team needs to move on from DR10. I had another person break down Derek Ryan's play here, which I'm going to show too. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Craig on Twitter says, Derek Ryan in 3 minutes and 17 seconds, blown coverage on a 2-0 goal, and now a double minor, brutal 5-on-5. Yeah. Not getting it done on the PK either. Time for some younger legs. And then he says, and now it turns over in the corner and doesn't tie the guy. Yeah, so Derek Ryan, just a mess of the game. I think he was also thinking, like, just get me off the ice at this point. Like, I'm just costing the team. And unfortunately, that was just, it sums up the game. I think his performance essentially sums up the entire team.
Exactly.
Maybe
right.
that's exaggeration.
I think DR was one of the worst out there, but there's not many that were better than him out there as well. Eyes within says Ryan's time is done. Well, we're down another guy in the lineup in Connor McDavid, so I think DR might be sticking around, but who knows? Also, Mr. Cates, cold. Everyone for not beating the shit out of whomever tripped McDavid. Also, is that correct usage of whomever? I never know when to use who or whomever.
That looks right to me.
But it looks right? Like it looks like it's smart. I'm going to take you for that. Yeah, it was Zach Werenski. Now, obviously, Werenski is not a dirty player. I don't think that was very intentional, but some of my frustration, but Corey Perry can't do it every single night. It can't be Darnell Nurse every single night. A spark tonight would have been nice if the Edmonton Oilers decided to get into a fight. But I have another cold performer as well. It's two separate units because the Edmonton Oilers special teams right now are brutal. Doesn't even do it justice. And I understand they scored a power play goal at the end of the game with 20-something seconds left to make them go 1 for 6 on the power play tonight. I don't care. I'm reading that as an 0 for 6, dude. They were brutal. They were getting the occasional chance, sure. They couldn't even enter the zone at points. So flat-footed, no momentum gained. You saw PP2 out there. You saw some changes to the power play. They were switching up the units, which obviously I do like that in a game like this. That was done 10 minutes into that hockey game. You experiment a little bit, as you might be without a 97, but that power play was almost as bad as I can remember it ever being. There is crap. Then there's 50 feet of crap, and then there's the Edmonton Oilers right now. It feels like we'll start with the power play was. I don't get what's going on. I don't get the feelings because this has been something we have taken for granted for the last couple of years that, I don't know, you get 4 chances. You're bound to score 1 at least right now. I'm not confident at all. It kind of feels like a momentum killer at points when we're getting the man advantage.
Wow, I think you just summed it up perfectly. The momentum killer, because it feels like nothing happens on the power play. We're not creating any high danger scoring chances, and it feels like we're kind of always going back to the same well, sending it off to Draisaitl in his office, and hopefully he mails that in. And it
boost bomb or a Leon one.
Like the boost bomb comes in clutch a little bit against Detroit, but that wasn't even on the power play. It's just I think they got to get a little bit more creative. I think they've just become so used to it, and they're always just. I think it's because I'm trying to think of the word here. Not competent. Just lackluster at the moment. The power play.
Did I say Homestead?
Yes.
Nice. I like that. I love when the chat corrects me.
Complacent. That's the word I was thinking.
I'm rattled right now. I don't know if you can tell. I'm rattled in my cage. Then there's the PK as well, right? They allowed 1 goal on 4 opportunities, but I don't know. They just look lifeless out there at points, man. Like, it wasn't just the PK, right? It's everything that went into tonight. That's just one you can look at. Do you need your best PKer to be your goaltender? Wasn't Stuart Skinner. I mean, he only allowed 1 goal in the power play or on the PK tonight, but the Oilers, so Derek Ryan, back to it. I said they just couldn't get the puck out of their own end. For the love of God, get off the ice and go make a change. It just was not happening. Was special teams, special plays, not very. All right, sketch. It's not working this season. The PK, thoughts on the penalty kill?
It felt broken. That's why we saw Matthias Janmark have the 3rd most time on ice among the Oilers. So Yeah, I mean, when you're shelled 6-1, it's not working. By the way, I'm looking at these game scorecards on Twitter from Don Lechesion, and I'm not the biggest analytics guy, but man, this is depressing to look at. So many people just going to the left side. Ty Emerson, Brett Kulak, Janmark is the third worst Oiler, apparently. Darnell Nurse apparently is the fourth best Oiler in the ice. I don't know, but anyways, I digress. We move on.
Yeah, Brian Smith knows nothing is good so far this season. 5v5,
Yes.
special teams, defense, and goaltending. They need to wake up now. K. Waddy, good point in the PK. Nobody ever tracks down a rebound either. Totally. That Sean Monahan goal there at the end of the game, it just bounced right to him.
Well,
right in front of the net.
Point, right?
Exactly. It's you gotta flush it. You gotta continue to let this roll and hope that we can find a way to turn this round. That'll do it for the hot and cold performers, courtesy of Odd Company. And in general, right, the hot performer, maybe we do have to give Columbus some credit here this evening because they came to play. They were shot out of the gates early. They play a very fast-paced style of offense. The Oilers, they had no answer. I mentioned on pre-gaming, the style they play and the way they are coached by new head coach Dean Evison is go, 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 go. You might give up some odd man rushes going back the other way. Tonight, the Oilers, like Zach Hyman had a chance, like seriously, like the first shift of the game on an odd man rush. He got robbed by Elvis, but I don't know. We talked about it on pre-gaming. This Jackets team can score goals, and once again, they were fifth in the NHL coming into tonight, and they continue to let that roll. They scored 6 goals tonight, Watts.
Yeah, they just outworked the Oilers from the get-go when they took advantage of the chances they created. And I won't lie, we had a few players that just allowed to give them enough space to score. And just gotta give credit where credit's due because the Columbus Blue Jackets, for what they are, everyone just underestimates them. No one expects them to be a favorite in any sense. I think they're the underdog in almost every matchup especially in this game where you have some of the best players in the world. But tonight, it's credit to Columbus. Hats off. The Oilers had to deal with what they had to deal with, and they never took the gas off the pedal. Foot off the pedal.
Foot off the pedal. Yeah, there you go. Ryan, the editor. It's the Dr. Randy Gregg Hall of Fame induction curse. New curse drop. They won yesterday, so that doesn't really make a ton of sense. But I like we're cooking with that as well. Let's move. Yeah, let's move to Bet365. We'll talk Boardsies Bankroll, brought to you by Bet365, proud partner of Oilersnation After Dark. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today and use the code NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. What does that spell?
Nation.
Boom, there it is. Shout out to our friends at Bet365. Well, we got one. We got one of them, baby. Is Matthias Ekholm. He's able to cash his 1+ point tonight. That was at a nice juicy plus 125. We like that one all as a group. Second option, and I said it on the show, I don't have any reason to think Bush was going to get a power play point or that the power play would score in general. It was just a simple gut feeling, trying to speak it into existence or bet it into existence responsibly, of course. And well, shocker, that one did not happen. And then there's Mr. Hyman. He continues to go goalless. He was at plus 125. I think there was a lot of people out there betting on Zach to get a goal. He had on the evening 3 shots, and I'm pretty sure all 3 of those shots were in the first period because they came fast, they came often, but Elvis Merzlikins was able to stand tall. Patrick, did you guys make any bets? Did anybody profit? Let me know in the chat. I am grasping at straws for positives tonight. Pat, did you make any money?
No bets on my side. I didn't make any, to be fair, so I didn't lose any.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Well, you stay even then, Anything?
I've been on a cold streak, so I'm betting responsibly.
Well, you should always bet responsibly.
Exactly.
Only bet what you're willing to lose.
I like to live through you. And, we cashed in on one, right? Ekholm.
Okay, now, I'm not going to do this, but, Pat, this is kind of a good idea. Arian, start the map for Zach Hyman. I don't want to do that.
No.
I don't want to get dirty like that, but who knows? Worked for Connor Brown. Eventually, he made it all the way to Vermilion, right? I'm pretty sure it was just under 200 kilometers last season.
He made it to wherever? Cody Ceci? Did he make it to Mundare?
I think he was in Saskatchewan.
He was in Saskatchewan.
Wait,
he was in Saskatchewan.
At some
Cody
point
Ceci was in Saskatchewan. Because we went from the last time. If you're new here, last year we tracked how many kilometers in every game Connor Brown skated until he scored his first goal. And
How do you track that?
because Next Gen Stats, shout out the NHL, shout out all the new stats they had. And I believe it was 198 kilometers, which roughly took him to Vermilion. And then we picked him up on Highway 16 and we brought him back to Edmonton. Yeah, Darian, CC was in Saskatchewan, almost to Saskatoon. I thought, yeah, you totally are. I'm not going to make that map, but believe me, it is in the back of my head. But we talked about Zach Hyman there with the bets was. Is he ever going to score again, man? He was involved early and often. We talked about he scored goals in 3 of his last 4 games against the Blue Jackets. Thought it was me get-right opportunity. He did have 3 shots in the first 5 minutes of the game, but he continues to be snake-bitten. Goals are hard to come by for him, and I hate to say it, but I think they're going to be a lot harder to come by without 97 feeding him directly in front of the net.
Well, we'll see because, I mean, other than the power play, I believe, do we see a lot of Draisaitl and Hyman connection? Draisaitl does have that passing
I think we're
ability.
going to now, but...
So we'll see what happens. Maybe we can see what they can do together. But, yeah, it sucks for Zach Hyman. I know I'm kind of memeing him online. I'll be like, oh, Zach Hyman is
doing your job. You're doing your job.
Granny in a cage until Zach Hyman scores. And Granny's not having fun right now.
Granny's not having fun. I'm not having fun. As I mentioned at points during that game at the end, it was Leon Draisaitl with Zach Hyman and one Victor Arvidsson. So who knows? Pat, I see you're doing things back there. I know you're cooking something up, I feel like.
I was just doing the math.
That's
Zach
what I thought.
Already at 40 kilometers this season, but that's probably not including this game.
Yeah.
So
okay. So we're getting
and the end of last season, depending on when he's last scored.
That's true. Okay, so we're cruising down Highway 16 now, and we'll see where we end up with our pal Zach Hyman. Anything else we have not touched on that we see in the chat, boys? Anything that top line officially in shambles? Nuge Henrique Hyman line is a recommendation from Final Buzzer. Waz, let me ask you, shot out of a cannon, how are you building your top 6 for the next game?
I'll probably go Draisaitl, Hyman. Ooh, that's
right. This is a fun game to play.
Okay, so
Pat, I'm going to ask
go
you too.
Draisaitl, Skinner, Hyman. Does that work?
I'm keeping Arvidsson with Draisaitl.
Okay, interesting.
But they're both Hyman and him are right wings.
Nuge. With second line, I would say. That line's gonna be tough. I have to do some thinking here.
I think I would put. I'm not familiar with how much RV plays the other side, but he is right-handed. I could see that being a thing. I think in my dream world, I'm going Arvidsson, Draisaitl, Zach Hyman, Nuge, Adam Henrique, Jeff Skinner. I think is going to be you move up Henrique. Like Nuge can play the 2C. We've seen him do it, but he's not really much of a play driver, I think, at this point in his career. He's defensively responsible, sure, but I think he's much better as a wing right now in his career. And Adam Henrique, it's kind of why you brought him in, man. He can play third line center. He can play top 6 wing. He can be in the top 6 last season. What, he had 24 goals, and a number of those came with the Anaheim Ducks playing there. My other question to you as well, Pat, I'll ask you this one. What are you doing with the Edmonton Oilers power play heading into next game? Now that we know McDavid will not be traveling with the team to Nashville, they're going to have to fill a spot. What would you do, Patrick?
Man, that's tough.
That's a tough one, right?
Because you're trying to find someone who can take over for McDavid, move the puck around. So we've kind of talked about it a little bit last year. Nuge almost has to step into that role, but he also hasn't really done his own role so far this year. So it kind of puts you in a difficult spot. Maybe you let Jeff Skinner be that guy that's ripping around as Connor McDavid, but don't love it. I guess you go Skinner.
It's tough, right, dude?
Skinner, Arvidsson.
Like my thought process, right? It's kind of like what you said there. It's like, okay, Nuge seems like just a smooth transition to be in that Connor McDavid puck transporter role. We know he can do it, and he skates very well. But if you're going to do that, who then fills his spot? I think if Nuge moved over to Connor's spot, I think you'd put Victor Arvidsson in Nuge's spot there on the left side. He has a right-handed shot, could open up for things like that. Or you keep Nuge where he is, and I'm not going to bring Arvidsson in as that puck transporter or whatnot. I think it would be one Jeff Skinner. Thank our lucky stars. We have Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson to fill in here and find a way. But I'm going to be honest with you. I think that production is going to come from internally on that grouping, and it's going to be Leon Draisaitl having to put the team on his back. And Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, I think you're going to have to shoot the puck a little bit more, looking for death, taxes, and Nuge low blocker. And Boosh, I don't even know if you can shoot even more than you have, Ben. So just keep on ripping the pucks.
The beauty of Arvidsson is he does like to shoot too.
And that's the thing I had talked about previously. We discussed all these power play changes, and I thought it was going to be Skinner replacing Hyman in front in the blue paint. Skinner's not big and battly, but he's crafty and he's smart and he's quick on the stick. And I thought Arvidsson seems like the natural fit on that left side where Nuge was, because he's never met a one-timer he did not like before. Number one fan says Jay Skinner moves in. And final buzzer, this is a good point, because while Arvidsson loves the one-timer, Arvidsson can't take a pass, says final buzzer. It has happened repeatedly so far this season with him and Leon looking to build some chemistry, and just hasn't worked out very much. Pat, you have anything else?
I was just going to say, in his defense, Draisaitl whipping passes at 100 kilometers an hour is probably not easy and something he has to get used to, but yeah, it has been a problem.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to be a problem. All right, people, that'll do it for us tonight for Oilers Nation After Dark. After worst game of the season? That's pretty easy to say, right? That was, without a doubt, the worst one. Who knows?
Depressing.
Can only come up from here. Our next pre- and post-game will be Thursday night as the Edmonton Oilers travel to Nashville to take on the Nashville Predators. I love you all. Sleep tight. Get some to eat. Open up an Odd Company Nation beer for game day and for after game day, because you're going to need some of those. Big shout out to our sponsors, Greta Bar Yegg, Square, Odd Company, Bet365, and, I should also mention, the Nation Vacation is now officially sold out. So if you haven't got your ticket, you're not going to be able to buy one. But guess what, there's still a way for you to get in the contest and win 2 tickets to this Nation Vacation. Because when you go into any participating Oodle Noodle location in the Edmonton area, you can enter for your chance to win 2 spots on the Nation Vacation to Denver, Colorado. Just for coming into the store, you get a free entry. But if you make a purchase, you're entitled to a second entry. These entries, they'll be collected till November 3rd. And then November 8th, we're going to randomly do the draw, and some lucky customer is going to get to come and hang out in Denver, Colorado for the Nation Vacation. I remember last year going to Arizona. The people who won the tickets to the Nation Vacation, they were ecstatic. Free vacation, room and board, tickets, all that. It's going to be a good trip. So get down to Oodle Noodle, get some good food, and who knows, maybe win your way in. You don't want to miss out on your chance to secure your spot on this trip of a lifetime. Terms and conditions apply. Please visit oodlenoodle.ca for more information. All right, everybody. I love you all. Courtesy like on your way out tomorrow on the Oilers Nation YouTube. Talia Remchuk will return. We're going to have a lot to unpack with this one tomorrow, 12:01 Mountain Standard Time. We'll be live right here on the YouTube. Me, Liam Horban, Talia Remchuk. Not really sure who we have for a guest tonight, because all I can think about is the health and safety of Connor McDavid's left ankle. Prayers up for Davo. Prayers up. Do whatever you got to do, and I will catch you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
Make sure to make